99, you're late.
Sorry, Chief, but Max insisted we save a cat in a tree on the way here.
Took you 4 hours to save a cat in a tree?
No, sir. It took me exactly 15 minutes to save that cat.
I don't understand.
It took the fire department several hours to rescue Max from the same tree.
And then I hadn't had my lunch yet.
They should have left you up there. All right, Control is looking to expand its roster of agents. It's been a great year, and we're creating a new branch of agents in the arts.
And you want me to lead it? Oh, that's great, Chief. A promotion. That's just great.
No, I need you and Agent 99 to set up surveillance and interview these prospects. This camera right here, Max, is going to be wired directly to my TV. Be discreet and find out about their contributions to the arts. And Max,
Sorry about that, Chief. You were saying?
stay alert.
I trace it back to my first teachers, and that would include my parents, who were both musicians. And then my first violin teacher was Morris Collier, who still plays in the Lincoln Symphony, and Emanuel Wishnow, who was chair at the University of Nebraska, a really fine violinist himself and a great teacher. So those were the people that got me started. And then I'd say practically every musician I've met since then, I learned from and developed. And I've had the opportunity in Lincoln of meeting so many good musicians. I can't start to name them all, but I've been in a variety of bands that range from punk rock, like Charlie Burton's band, to Django Reinhardt music that I'm playing with Mike Harris right now. Music is really coded in our DNA, both playing music and listening to music. And I think that's true not just for our particular species, but I think animals, maybe even insects, have some built-in music. The value is in being able to reproduce the sounds and then being able to enjoy the sounds. And I think the last music that I'll probably play someday, when I don't want to play in clubs or auditoriums or wherever, I'll play at places like Legacy, where my wife and I have been playing a lot now. And we find there what I think is about as intelligent an audience for our kind of music as you can imagine. Yes, I'd like to thank the committee to begin, the awards committee and the Arts Council behind them. And I'd especially like to thank the sponsors, the Legacy Group that sponsored this award. I think that it will be a great pleasure for me to see future people win this award, and I think it's a great idea to look at the many senior artists that are in this community. So that's my thanks would go to them, certainly.
Actually, they had a very good boys choir back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and the director passed on and nobody could revive it. And so the Scottish Rite came to me in 2000 and said, what can we do for the boys? And I said, what do you have in mind? They said, a boys choir like we used to have. I said, we can do that. And they said, start writing curriculum for us and we'll try to get the money. They asked then how much it would cost. And we had not once to give anything, and so I was a little bit nervous about it because I said 20 to 25,000. And they said, start writing the curriculum, get permission from whoever you need to in the school system, Board of Education, the superintendent, and we will try to get the money. I am the artistic director. I direct 2 choirs, and we have an assistant director who directs the other choir, the beginning choir. And now we have 3 choirs of 120 boys total on our organization. We started in 2002, and it's now 2014. I think I'm really dedicated to them because I see what it has done for them. Not only do we teach music skills to these young men, but we teach life skills also. We have seen the boys grow and change, and we have had administrators tell us that they've had boys who have been in school suspension, out of school suspension, and just haven't been doing well. And they called them in and all of a sudden asked them, what has changed your life? And the boys say it's the confidence and all of the friends that we developed from the Boys Choir organization and the rules and the regulations that we have to follow. I would like to thank the Scottish Rite for providing the space for us to rehearse. They were wonderful in doing that. And I want to thank the Board of Directors who have been very good, and all of our wonderful parents. And I'd like to thank the Lincoln Arts Council for this wonderful award.
My mom, my dad, my aunts, they've been very supportive of everything that I've done. I had two really good teachers when I started in the floral industry. One was Bob Goss, and the other one was Mrs. Stocker. They're both from Scottsbluff. She's deceased. He is still doing a little bit of creative work, but those are the people that really inspired me to do what I do. Being in the floral industry is probably one of the most rewarding things. We deal with so many different facets of the industry, death, birth. You have such swings. There can be, you go from one extreme to the other. You have a really excited dad that comes in, he has a new baby, and then the next family that walks in the doors, they've lost their baby. And so you kind of have to go back and forth, but it's bringing that, flowers bring so much joy to people's lives. And that's probably one of the most rewarding things that I have from what I do, is that I can provide people with so much happiness with just one single flower. If I could put my mind on hold, I would try that. It's really hard for me. I'm constantly thinking of something different, something new, something fresh. I'm not the best artist in the world. I'm not the best floral designer in the world. I don't ever claim to be. The only thing I strive is to be a better designer than I was yesterday, to do something better than I did the day before. And I think that's really what is more important to me than not doing what I do. It's just one of those, I don't know how to put my mind on hold. I'm constantly I can go to the hardware store and come up with something that I was like, oh, that would be so cool for, or I could go to the grocery store and pass through some, aisle. I'm like, oh, I could use that bag for, so it's just like that. I don't know how to stop. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things for me to stop doing, So that's why I continue to just do what I do and keep going and try to come up with something, new and unique. I would probably just thank God for giving me the ability to create and think of things that some people don't think about. I think that's probably my biggest inspiration, is that.
What inspires me to create art is my personal experiences, some politics, not much, and my family and friends. Yeah. My favorite form of art is painting and poetry. They're my favorite because I feel like I think they connect easily with people. You can get right to people's hearts, so I really enjoy that. I have a lot of plans. I want to just really explore my options and figure out what fits me the best. I really love art, so I want to do something with art. I don't know how I'm going to pair it, maybe teaching or business. I'm even thinking about engineering. I think that would be really fun because it's kind of something concrete to go with art, so I think that would be really cool to do. There are so many people that have supported me, especially at North Star, and just the Lincoln community as a whole has been really amazing. I started out at the Burkholder Project when I was in 4th grade, and that was really great. That's when I really started. I figured out that I loved art, and that was really fun. And then I went to Park, and Nisa Sturgeon there was my art teacher, and she gave me canvases and books, and she just gave me so much support, and it was, yeah, she pushed me a lot, and it helped me to grow and be who I am today. And now I'm going to North Star, and Lynette Fast is my teacher, and she is the best teacher I think I've ever had. She helps me with recommendations and essays, and yeah, she just helps me a lot. I don't even know. I can't even name everything she's done for me because it's just been so much. She also got me involved in Scholastic Art and Writing Awards and Vad's Custom Culture Competition, and that was really, really fun. And of course, my family and my friends, and Chris Butler for nominate or letting me have this award. So, my mom, I've been drawing since I was like a little kid, and I used to like have handfuls of colored pencils and just swirl them around on a piece of paper. And they weren't that good, but she always told me that they were good. And I was that one kid that actually believed her. So I think that's kind of what makes me an artist is I believe it when sometimes other people don't. And yeah, she's always just supported me and she's funded me and she's done all that stuff even when she doesn't have it to give. And she's done a lot.
I get inspired by other musicians, other artists. When I hear great music, I become inspired by that, and I want to create more great music. When I hear great performances, I want to be a part of that legacy of being a performer. And so the key thing with me is to just keep moving forward and contributing to the great river of music. I push myself artistically by always looking for new opportunities where I can inject myself into, or new challenges that are either presented for me or I can create myself. A new way to think about writing a piece, or a new way to think about improvising in a jazz setting. So again, it's always I want to avoid getting stuck into a rut doing something I've done before. I'm always wanting to move forward and look for that next challenge that's out there for me. As far as the historical perspective of music, there is some music today that is very inspirational to me. There's some that I completely have no clue what's going on. But I think that's one of the important things about being a musician is to integrate the new with the old. And of course, I've got lots and lots of older music that has inspired me over the years. I'm a product of the 60s and 70s, and so I get inspired by Weather Report, Herbie Hancock, Steely Dan. But I'm also inspired by Duke Ellington and Miles Davis and Igor Stravinsky. When you are a musician, you have a gift. And that gift is not one that you went out and bought at a store. It's one that's been given to you. And most musicians I know grew up in musical families. So these were families that understood the importance of having that as part of the family structure, that musical component there. So I just like to thank the person that first inspired me and gave me that gift, and that is my mother. Thanks, Mom.
Well, I worked with the Lincoln Journal for 44 years. So I started in 1941 and graduated from the newspaper in 1985. I worked with a lot of very interesting people, and of course, as a young reporter, I started as a police reporter, and then, of course, I wrote the story on the first casualty of World War II, the first Lincoln casualty, a young man who was killed at Pearl Harbor. And then I had been turned down for military service, so I was there during the war. So I ended up writing the headlines on the defeat of Germany and laid out the front page on the defeat of Japan. So, and of course, after the war, I had many people, veterans who came back and worked with me, wonderful people. Well, I grew up in a home that had a lot of books, and my father was a minister, and he used a lot of big words and stuff. But I think a lot of my personal interest in words came from teachers at Lincoln High School. And I had Willa Cather's sister Elsie as one of my English teachers, and Esther Montgomery, who later was very prominent in getting ETV programs directed at children. So they were an inspiration in high school, and I belonged to the Writers Club there, and had my first words printed in the Scribe, which was the Lincoln High School annual for writers. But one of the things that is very important to me is that people like Brianna Benjamin, who nominated me for this award, I very much appreciate that. At the same time, I realize that, you know, there are many, many fine writers in Lincoln, and I feel humbled to be representing them as I receive this award. It's more for the written word than it is just for me personally. Thank you.
Do you know, as budgets become tighter in our schools, children have far fewer hours of arts education, visual arts education. So we did some research from programs around the country and came to see that a lot of arts organizations were doing off-site work. So we're able to take art classes and taught by fabulous artists into some of Lincoln's lowest income schools so that these kids can have opportunities to have top-rate arts classes as well. A lot of the kids don't really have access to real art supplies, so they get absolutely excited by large sheets of paper to paint on, which to me is really heartbreaking, but they're absolutely amazed that they get to work with clay and glaze, and they get back this fired finished piece. And our teachers really have their eyes open to really the impact that they have on these kids that they're teaching. One of the things that we really believe in at the Lux is arts education for everyone, and not everybody can afford to take classes at the center or from any other artist in the community, but we wanted to kind of level that playing field so that everybody has access to really wonderful arts programming, and we're accomplishing that one school at a time. Do you know, Jenny Brandt was our education director when this program came to pass, and it was her research and her passion that breathed life into the program, and she's also the one that nominated us for this award. So I would really like to thank her and all of the artists and residents and teachers that are willing to drive that creaky van all over the city to take art classes to those who could use them most.
What's inspired me to work with Jazz in June? That's actually a three-part question.
Okay.
Because the first part is just dedication and to your community and giving back is instilled my mother and my grandmother. I mean, that's just what you're supposed to do. And the second part, what's inspired me are three women who actually turned me on to the arts in Lincoln, which was Kit Voorhees, Amy Lamphere, and Nancy Marshall. They actually got me in tune as to what the art scene was in Lincoln. And then the third one is just the music. The music, especially in reference to Jazz in June, just the music and be able to provide that sort of service to the community of Lincoln. It starts summer, because summer couldn't start without Jazz in June. Because I always say it kicks off summer, so everybody knows. And people come, and it's camaraderie, and you might see the same people that you haven't seen them for a year. So it's kind of like old home week for a month. So and when people come up to me and say, thank you, that means a whole lot. That means a lot, because I can remember when we first started, and I was actually just a volunteer. I'm still a volunteer, but just a volunteer, and there were maybe, I don't know, 400 or 500 people there. And now I stand on the steps and I look out, and there's thousands. There's 6, 7, 8,000 people, and it's like, wow, this is really awesome. So that's what does it for me. Doug Campbell, because we've been friends through Jazz in June, and he actually was the chair one year, and so would like to thank Doug Campbell. And then the second person, actually Butch Berman, who started this whole jazz phenomena in Lincoln, and it kind of has now. I've been very diligent on trying to keep that momentum going in the world of jazz music, and he was able to bring through Lincoln a lot of people. So Butch Berman, and then the Sheldon folks, because this doesn't happen just because of me. There's a whole bunch of people behind the scenes that make this a well-oiled machine, and that's the Sheldon staff, in particular Lori Sipple, who has been my right hand for many years, and the Sheldon Art Association, who funds this and supports this and fights for this every year. So in particular, the Sheldon Art Association.
From Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou said, there are heroes and sheroes.
Yes.
And that's what we wanted to focus on as much as we
Yes.
could. We wanted to do something that would be an opportunity for the kids to use the arts to have a voice. And we also wanted to do something that would be enriching and would really enlighten the community as well. And so we focused on heroes because we wanted the kids to recognize that they don't have to look at the rock stars and the athletes to find heroes. They're in their own backyards. They're in their homes. They're in their schools. They're in the community. And so to use the arts as a means for these kids to have a chance to tell the stories of these heroes and to really inspire all of us, that's what we were after.
We just wanted heroes to be accessible to everybody, to teachers, to parents, that sort of thing. But really the competitions, the short film, visual art, and the writing competitions, those were all geared towards those middle school, high school aged kids who, we wanted to inspire and we wanted to give hope. And so we reached out to potentially over 40,000 students in 11 counties and 175 different schools.
One of the philosophies that we have at Hildegard is you go big or you go home. And so we went big.
We did go big.
So in addition to the curriculum and having these wonderful competitions for the kids, we also decided we needed to do some outreach for those kids that really don't always have the opportunity to experience the arts and bring heroes to them as well. The most important thing about heroes, the most important things, it was all about the kids. It was all about the fact that the arts gave them a voice. And we heard time and time again from these kids. A girl from Lincoln High said, I am going to go ahead and pursue writing when I get to college now because of the confidence I've gained. You published my story, and I think I can do this now. Or the little girl from Wahoo who was not the popular girl, and she was depressed, and she was having a heck of a time. But her story about her grandfather was accepted for the book, and all of a sudden she's walking across that stage with a smile you just could not believe.
The best part of Hildegard are the people we met along the way, are the people who are working on Hildegard's behalf to help her realize, its mission. And it's also about the people that we're serving. All the people that came out for the Wayuga tour, and the kids, and the administrators, the teachers, the mentors, who believed in the value of Heroes Among Us and decided to get involved, get their kids in schools involved. But to make that all happen, we have a wonderful team of board of directors. We have great Hildegard advisors. We have creative, open-minded, gifted people in the community who really get what it is we're trying to do, bringing people together through the arts in meaningful ways to make the world better. And
of course we have to thank St. Elizabeth's and Humanities Nebraska for believing in us
and
and
the
giving us
Nebraska
that financial
Cultural
support.
Endowment as well.
Exactly.
Because without their help, without their support, we just could not have outreached as well as we
And
did.
somebody else, Mayor Beitler. We have to thank Mayor
Oh,
Beitler
my
because he
goodness.
actually proclaimed 2012-2013 as the year of the hero. And
Yes.
so we thank him profusely
Yes,
for
we
believing in
do.
the project.
We do.
Yay.
Well, I think one of the things that we talk about a lot in the Friends of Lead is the importance of arts in a community. We know that communities that are successful and communities that are growing and that are lively are ones that have great arts. And so that's part of what is something that inspires us. But we also love the fact that it's a state opportunity to provide not only in Lincoln but across the state arts, arts across Nebraska, which gives kids all over who may not get a chance to ever experience the arts to have a connection there. I love that. I love watching the faces of those young men and women and even children when they're first seeing a production. I think that's amazing. I also think that one of the things we talk about a lot as members of the Friends of Lee is the artist in residency program that the college students get. And teaching at the university, I hear this all the time from students who say, I cannot believe that I was in a private class with Yo-Yo Ma. I mean, who would have thunk it? So, it's pretty exciting that we're able to do things to make our community better and to enrich the lives of all the people here. The money that we are able to provide for programming allows a community to say, we'd like to have something here when we're having the artist in residency program. And so we can get that set up so that an artist or a group or a troupe or whoever is here is going to a certain community to perform and share their areas of expertise. So they might not just do a little performance, but they will also be working in the schools, which is really, I think, really good because lots of kids don't get to go outside of their school. The same is true in Lincoln. I mean, there's lots of times when we're down here and kids are coming down for additional productions of something that's just during the day so that they get a chance to participate in the lead. And I know for lots of students, this is the one opportunity that might be the key to them trying something new or encouraging them to go forward in their life with some other type of arts idea. So I think the impact that we have is both on parents and on the community, but also on those kids. I think, you cannot be on the board of Friends of Lee without acknowledging the wonderful staff we have there. Bill Steffen is the executive director, all of the people that work with him, Ann Chang as the artistic director, and then Donna Seefeld, who is everybody's right arm when any event is going on. I mean, she makes sure that, the invitations are out. She makes sure that we have the right people at the right tables. She makes sure we haven't forgotten anything. So I think the staff there at the Lead Center are just amazing. And then I would like to thank, all of the people who've been involved in supporting the lead, in giving their $50 or $100 or $200 or a patron sponsor, $2,500 to make sure we're getting really good things here and that we're having an opportunity to share the arts with all.
Chief. Hey, Chief. We have a bit of a break here between interviews, so I thought I'd put in my application for Agent of the Arts for my contribution in musical. Something familiar.
This is Kevin Keller here of Union Bank. Yes, Kevin Keller, not 86, 99, or even 007. You see, our agents have real names, not numbers. And better yet, we treat our customers that way too. They're not numbers to us. We know their names. Think about this. In 1904, the international evil agency Chaos was founded. Shortly after that, Union Bank was started in 1917 as a force for good. Yes, 1917, and started as Farmers State Bank. Pretty clever disguise, huh? Then in 1965, Jay Dunlop purchased Union Bank. That was this very same year a certain TV spy show began. Quite a coincidence. That was when the real personal service mission began. Try calling one of those other places. You have to use this number for a certain service, that number for another service. This must be for long distance. But at Union Bank, you call us, we'll answer with real people with real names. At those other places, you'll get a recorded message that you wish was self-destructing in 5 seconds, but not at Union Bank. We'll answer our phones. Let me tell you another secret about Union Bank. We love the community and we enjoy supporting the arts, like the community-supported art project that included high school students. What a stroke of genius. Thank you, Lincoln Arts Council. Okay, Are you ready? Here's the password for tonight. Get smart, support the arts. Gotta go.
I really get inspired by students, I think. I had to think about that for a while because there's so many things that inspire me, but I think the thing is seeing them creative and seeing them come up with new things I would have never thought of before, and just their energy and enthusiasm. I think they inspire me more than anybody. I think the arts is inspirational for everyone in general because it teaches you something about yourself. It teaches you something about the world. I think you learn to accept people's differences and similarities through the arts. So there's really a lot that inspires me, but I think looking in the eyes of a student whose light bulb has gone off is the most inspirational and keeps me doing what I'm doing. Because it's fun. I just have a great time doing all these various things, and I meet all kinds of interesting people. I think that's the most important thing, is that there are people who've maybe not ever done anything in the arts before, and if we guide them, then they get inspired and they decide to do something with it. I know that we've had a volunteer at the Arts Council who had not done any art before in his life and now is a working artist. And that's so exciting to see. I happen to be related to him too, so that's really nice to say as well. And I think that people just make your life more interesting, and I think the more people you get in contact with, the more you enjoy your life and the more you just want to get up every day and have a goal. My career wouldn't have gone where it went without really wonderful people around me the entire time. I think that mentors like Pat Overton and Tice Miller helped a lot. And I had a wonderful group of people in college that I was around that I still know and love today, and they inspire me every day. And I also think that I should really thank my family and my parents in particular, who said it was okay to go ahead and do what I dreamed about doing. They kept me on kind of an earthbound flight instead of a space flight, however, because I did sort of choose the practical route, the safer route. But that's okay, because all kinds of good things have happened along the way. And I think I am where I am because of all those people that were really there to support me. Not so much about what I did, but what everybody else helped me to do.
I think my biggest inspiration comes from day-to-day observations, and I see how wasteful people are every day, and that really drives me to try to change that. And those observations have led me to do research, which further drives my inspiration to make these projects. I make installations about environmental conservation, and those installations are often interactive and require the participation of the viewer to complete the project. Through my art, I try to find a way that I can connect with the viewer and foster desire in them to do their part in saving our environment. So I think with each project, I'm getting better and better at that, and so that's what keeps me going and trying to do that in a better way. I took art classes in middle school and high school, but I think there was never really any other choice for a career for me. There was nothing else that I really wanted to do, so there was never a question about what I was going to go to school for or what I was going to do with my life. This was it. So my dream would be to just practice art and to do it and be able to live off of my art, and I've never really had the desire to teach it, so if I can find a way to do art and live off of that, that would be the ultimate goal. I would like to thank my professors and mentors at UNL, Gail Kendall, Mark Cole, Margaret Bowles, and Eddie Dominguez. They have gone above and beyond for me and done everything they can to help me succeed.
I'm inspired to write about the things that I'm most afraid of, which sounds kind of silly coming from an adult, but I've found over the course of time that I can really work through some of that, and there's always a joyful discovery at the end. And that has continued to push my work forward and hopefully allowed it to have some impact. Well, I am so fortunate as a playwright who has had work produced in this state. That's a really lucky situation to be in. And what that does is it allows me a personal opportunity to speak to audiences. So if I have something that's important for me to tell the world, I get to go into a room and the lights come down and there's 100 or 125 people, and I get to tell them a secret about what I believe to be true about life. That's the best thing in the world. I'm really driven to continue my writing because I have so much to say. Is that bad? I have so much to say, and it just seems to be a wonderful platform to express how I feel about things to the world. And it's collaborative. You cannot be a playwright without the help of a director, without actors. Theater is so unique in its sense of true collaboration. So knowing that there are people out there that can continue to push me forward and give my work impact really drives me. There are so many people that I would like to thank for this award. First of all, Mayor Chris Beitler, the Lincoln Arts Council, the Kimmel Foundation. Very importantly, people who have continued to nurture me as a playwright and help me cultivate those skills, starting with Dr. Tice Miller, Judy Hart, Petra Walquist, and Bill Steffen at the Lead Center, and my family and friends. There's no way to be a writer without other voices helping you find your way, and I've certainly been lucky in that department. Thank you.
So Antelope Creek Village, as it's called, is a block off of the Antelope Creek waterway. And when that project came about, that was recently completed, that was a significant investment by the city, and there were a number of properties that were in the floodplain before that project occurred. And as the project's completed, there were acres and acres of land that are now out of the floodplain and developable. NeighborWorks Lincoln was identified as a sort of neighborhood champion for the east side of that particular waterway, meaning to sort of show some leadership and encourage public and private entities to partner and redevelop and consider how that part of the city and that urban fabric could be remade and reintroduced. So the Antelope Creek Village project came as a result of some property that NeighborWorks Lincoln had. They didn't have all of it, but they had a good part of it. And they went out and did a lot of heavy lifting to assemble enough property that you could put a sizable reinvestment there, and as a catalyst to get something started in that part of this overall big picture plan. So we had gotten involved with, originally it was Terry Euland, who was the director at the time, who is now Downtown Lincoln Association, but at the time was with NeighborWorks Lincoln, and just worked on some ideas, different types of housing that would be not only good models for that kind of urban type of environment, but would be sellable, that people would want and buy. Which is in the end game, you have to design and develop something that'll work. So we got involved initially on a volunteer basis, and over time it turned into Antelope Creek Village, the project, and we're still involved in that area on a volunteer basis to see what's next. A good project always is the result of a good client. So I think the first entity you have to say really showed leadership on the project was NeighborWorks Lincoln. And as I mentioned, it spanned a couple directors, but they, as an organization, they saw the opportunity. They had to collect some property that I'm sure was very difficult to do. Assembling multiple pieces of land with multiple owners in urban environments is always a difficult proposition. But they did the hard work, and they found the funding sources and put it together. And so they deserve a great credit for this award. Appreciate the award. I think recognizes not only the outcome but their leadership. Also, I would say good projects are usually results of very good teams, and we work in teams. Our office, we have a number of people that worked on that. It was a team effort, and also with our partners, which were Olson Associates and a structural design group here in Lincoln. That was our team partners, and a great contractor in Brester Construction. So thanks, Jim, for a great job. They showed tremendous care and attention to detail as the project while it was under construction. So we really appreciated that, and I think that's evident in the quality outcome.
You know, I've been asked what the vision was for Fallbrook, or why did we do Fallbrook as a business, and I think it probably goes back to maybe my parents first taking me to the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs. I just have always had an interest in good architecture, interesting architecture, how it fits into an area, and I think so at a very young age. I don't know why it happened, but I've had an interest in good architecture and planning. And I remember driving out to Fallbrook, which was our old dairy farm, with my cousin when we were probably in our late teens, and said, geez, this would be a great place for us to build our homes. So there was just kind of something there that kind of continued on. And then at Arizona State, I was surrounded by Frank Lloyd Wright's work with actually the fraternity house I lived in was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. Grady Gamage, their event center, was done by Frank Lloyd Wright, and the Biltmore Hotel. So I've always enjoyed architecture, planning, how it all works together, landscaping, and even though I've got a degree in business, I've always had this interest. We'd like to thank the Anderson Urban Design Selection Committee for recognizing us. I'm very familiar with a lot of Larry Anderson's works, and to be associated with his name and recognizing Fallbrook, knowing the quality of his work over the years is terrific. I'd like to thank the architects that we worked with on the project. Clark Anderson, Sinclair Hilly, Barvamir Hacker, and Davis Design have all contributed to the project, and I thank them for their works and their patience. Olson Associates did the engineering on the job, which was hard work, and appreciate their efforts. And I'd also like to thank Bob Miller, who works with me at Nebco Inc., who's been outstanding on the project. I find it interesting that someone with a background as in accounting and in law could be so helpful on a project such as Fallbrook. But I find it very interesting, and even with that background, Bob has developed an interest in architecture, which is really pretty neat. With that, again, thank you for the recognition, and we appreciate it very much.
Well, we were inspired years ago by a couple in Lincoln, many of you know, and since then we have become very good friends with them. We like to travel, and we like to collect contemporary art, and so now we plan trips specifically to look at artists, go to studios, go to museum shows, go to gallery exhibitions, and eventually buy art. And in turn, then we introduce other people to those same artists or bring them along, and they meet the artists and the galleries, and hopefully they buy art, and then they help the artist become successful, and the gallery as well.
You know, the arts have played a very important role in our lives. We live with art, we enjoy art, we do enjoy collecting. but it's had such a positive impact on our lives, we look at it and say, why not do that for other people? I think every great community has a great arts program, and people participate, and I think it makes the community a better place. You know, I think art it stimulates creativity, it makes people ask questions. I have several pieces outside my office that are abstract, and people from the production area come walking by and they'll say, well, tell me what that piece means. And I'll go, well, what do you think it means? And they'll go, well, I think it means this and this and this, and they go on and on and on. And then I always say, I think you're exactly right. It causes them to think, it causes them to be more creative and think about what was in the artist's head when they saw that. Well, we'd like to thank the mayor, obviously, for this award. It's tremendous, and everybody that's involved in putting on the program and doing these awards. I also like to just thank, Lincoln is a very supportive community. The people in Lincoln support the arts, whether it's through the Sheldon, whether it's through other organizations, public art. I think it really makes Lincoln a better place.
I would just add to that it's not just Lincoln, it's Nebraska as a whole too. We have many great institutions here, Sheldon, the Lux, Mona, Jocelyn, and Omaha, and all of them have a different niche market that they like to collect to, I guess you might say, and their patrons are different in some ways, but in general, people go there because they like art, they like the people who are in the gallery or the museum, and we've just gained so many friendships by becoming parts of those institutions as well. And I would like to thank you to the mayor and the committee for choosing us for something we really like to do.
Max, 99, excellent work. I think we have enough strong candidates to make this initiative a successful one.
A pleasure, sir.
That'll be all.
Chief, could I speak with you for a moment?
What is it, Max?
I think we need to use the cone of silence for this one. So, did you get my application, Chief? What? Did you get my application? What?
He wants to know if you got his application.
Yes. What?
Yes.
What?
He said yes.
Well, what did you think?